Anyway, we are especially pleased that Tania has accepted our invitation to address the 1996 graduates of the Business School of USC. She is one of our very own. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in 1971 and with an MBA in 1974. She is a member of the Business School's Board of Visitors and one of my best, most important, and certainly most energetic advisors. Tania has had a remarkable career. She has certainly been successful at everything that she has tried. She achieved her first great success at Bank of America, where at the age of 25, she became the youngest vice president in the company. In 1976, Tania went on to play a key role as Chief Operating Officer at Miller's Outpost. During the time she was there, the firm grew from 24 stores to 160 stores. In 1981, after Miller's Outpost was sold, Tania decided it was time to strike out on her own, and she founded Western Investments Company, which acts as principal or investment banker in venture capital, real estate, financial asset, and merger acquisition programs. Its investments include positions in radio broadcaster, helicopter light flight, manufactured housing, financial services, information technology, and specialty retail food, Bristol Farms, you may have heard of here in Los Angeles. Tania serves as a board member of several companies, perhaps most notably Green Tree Financial. Tania, we are very delighted that you've accepted our invitation to address our 1996 graduate students here at the Business School. Please join me in welcoming Tania Modic. Tania?
President Sample, Dean Westerfield and faculty, honored graduates, and proud family and friends, congratulations to you, the MBA class of '96, and I'm very honored to be here with you this evening. With all the pomp and circumstance and Trojan tradition, there is a natural tendency to make a talk to impress speech. Eloquent, touchy-feely kind of speech. You know, one of those Ivy League type, mossy wall type of speeches. Talks that stroke you, call you the leaders of the 21st century, remind you to give something back. University especially likes that. Tell you to balance your work with your play. This always comes from top of the heap type executives who've already made their fortunes and now can make all the rules. I would tell you that corporate America is waiting, is dying for you to teach them about fair play, about team building. I would tell you all that macro flowery stuff that they expect you to say in these kinds of evenings. It would make you feel good. It would make the university feel good. It would make your parents feel good, make the speaker feel good, because it's expected, and it's nice, and it's easy. But as Tina Turner says, I don't do nothing nice and easy. I do it nice and rough. Now, I can relate to Tina. Upon being kicked out of Catholic grammar school, the nun told my mother, I don't know if this is the most gifted child or whether she needs professional help. My husband, hearing this story years later, said, well, now we know, don't we? I've never had the courage to ask him what he meant. In deciding what to say to you this evening, I first asked, what is going on here? Well, you are graduating. You will shortly be partying, slack-jawed with your arms wrapped around a bucket of margaritas. There's a deja vu in there. You are entering the business world. So what do I bring to the party? I have no shortage of opinions. I walk the same corridors at USC, studied more or less the same stuff, and based on what I hear, listen to exactly the same lectures. And in short, we've had comparable experiences up to this time, except maybe for the evening I broke my arm and some furniture riding my boyfriend's motorcycle into the 901 Club. So we've had similar experiences, though some years apart. But tonight, I can tell you one thing that you have not done. You have not gone forth into the business world with an MBA from USC. I am assuming, by the way, that you do want to make a difference, to add value, not just rearrange it. After all, you went to the business school, ladies and gentlemen, not the law school. Thank you. That brings me to my subject tonight. www.thevirtualcorporation.u.com. Now, I want to apologize seriously in advance for overusing I and me. A mentor of mine, 20 years ago, I was sitting there with my shiny brash MBA degree and my know-it-all big mouth, pulled me out of a meeting and with his fingers between my eyes and his flapping cigar in my face, told me, I empty the trash, I clean the toilet, but we do business, we set a strategy, we implement our plan. So I want this to be a talk between the graduates and myself, and I hope that some of my theories and little realities may serve you in some way along your journey. So I preface the virtual corporation by starting with my first premise. It is good to be the king. Now this comes from a Mel Brooks movie, The History of the World, where he played a French king and did all kinds of rude and obnoxious, outrageous things, some of them very highly sexist. Afterwards, he would wink into the camera and he would say, it's good to be the king. You get the idea. It is more fun to win, however you define winning. To make money, to run the show, to fulfill your lust for power, or whatever your goal is. And you must succeed first in order to have the power to put your stamp on society, if that is one of your goals. As Bobby Kennedy said, you must first win to make a difference. So we have the virtual corporation, and it is you. You are your own enterprise. You're fully contained, self-directed, running your work, running your life as you would run a business. How you deploy your time and your financial resources is your number one business. Be a walking, all-encompassing portfolio of yourself. Maintain your financial flexibility. We learn that savings equals investment. Make your capital work as hard as your labor does. Savings equals investment. Save, invest. Retirement-wise, I don't mean blue hair money, lipstick crawling up, Rob Roy type of velour, put it in a muni investing. I mean think and have your capital working 24 hours a day, the same as you and your labor. At different times in the cycle, one will be rewarded more over the other. Keep your costs down. No big mortgages, no big expensive ego trip cars, no big flashy jewelry, no big $25,000 cruises. I encourage you very much as you go through your career to keep your cost of doing business down. Reason is, when that brass or gold ring is dropped in front of you, the flexibility you have will give you the strength and courage to take a risk and to grab it without the excuses that so many people in my generation now make. There is, or there shortly will be, portability of health insurance, portability of retirement plans. Your father's corporation, quote unquote, no longer exists. Corporate big brother no longer exists. Government big brother no longer exists. And as I have told Dean Westerfield until he runs at the sight of me, your father's university is going to change too. You will not go to work for AT&T, for Bob Allen, be steadily promoted, take his place, retire gracefully after 30 or 40 years with a gold watch. In fact, AT&T, now referred to on Wall Street as Allen and the Two Temps, may not be in business in 20 years. And if it is, it will certainly be called AT&T Net. Now, as you manage your far-flung enterprise, Youve.com, you draw upon all your business skills, your computer skills, your marketing, financial, strategic, analytical. And when it comes to analytical, for those of you who struggled like I did with higher level mathematics, integrating functions, differentiating curves. I tell you, please, not to worry. Balance sheets, income statements, cash flow, operating margins, the business formula, some simple concepts like percentages are the main tools for most of us. As I was handed my worst grade in graduate school, a cool D, I think it was a C minus minus, it was a D. In statistics, the professor was heard to remark that Tania thinks that there are three kinds of people: those that do math and those that do not. Let me also stress that you are responsible for the shareholder value of U.com. You are the sole stockholder. You may, over the course of your life, add a partner. Make sure that person contributes to that enterprise so there is no dilution. It may be a person, a husband, a wife, a spouse, a significant other, or it may be 2 or 3 people. You may be kinkier than I am. But this partnership idea brings me to a brief story. Back in the 70s, at the dawn of man and women, I got married, but kept my own last name. This caused some stir at the time. When asked why Tania didn't change your name, my husband replied that our marriage was a merger and not an acquisition. My most important, I pass to you, off-balance sheet resource and resources are contained in what I call my bag of tricks. They include, among other things, your personality and style, substance, experience, your contacts and network. Personality and style may seem like fluff, but you need, in running U.com, to get people who you don't know many times to talk to you, people who don't need you to return phone calls, people to take their time. Develop a creative and enthusiastic way to what I call set the hook. It needs to be uniquely your own, something you're comfortable with. Experiment with it, but define it. A few years ago, I received a call from a woman who talked very much like this. Now, this is very much of an East Coasty kind of accent. She called me from San Francisco, but she clearly resides, I'm convinced, that there is an island halfway between London and New York called a mid-Atlantic accent. She proceeded to tell me that the New York Stock Exchange company that she's representing would very much like to consider me for a board of directors spot. I listened to this, I'm trying to pick up on this accent. She asked me for my curriculum vitae. I got off the phone, said to my partner, what the hell is a curriculum vitae? Had no idea. Curriculum vitae is a resume. So when she asked that I do tea in the afternoon, you could see this coming a mile away. Bad fit. Bad fit. My own rule has often been that bad publicity is better than none at all, but not all my supervisors during the course of my career have enjoyed this aspect of my style, but I've never gotten lost in the shuffle. A sense of humor. The best people I have known in business have had a keen sense of humor, an ability to lighten tension with humor. And as a woman in today's times, it is a very key tool. Develop it. Substance is critical because personality and style will get you in the door, but substance gives you the staying power. Build your house of bricks. You will only get to BS somebody important that you care about once. Experience each step in your career as a building block. Mistakes are a natural part of the process of building experience. How you handle those mistakes is key. Learn from them. Do not let them devastate you, but don't reward yourself for being a good loser. Billie Jean King said years ago, to be a good loser is to be a loser. Contacts and networking is something your entire life you will cultivate, build, add, and sometimes you'll drop the bottom 20% every year. These are people you can call upon. Hopefully there'll be people that you trust that'll tell you what you don't want to hear. Higher up as you go in life, it's key to have people who will tell you what you don't want to hear. I've often used what I call a nobody wants anything from anybody lunch, and I will call it that. There's a relaxation that comes from sitting with people who don't have their hand out and want something from you. Voicemail, email is a natural way for you as you identify a handful of people that are important in your network for you to communicate with them. We didn't have this 20 years ago. But to thinking about them. It's a buck slip concept. Last time we met, you mentioned, this looks like something we were talking about. Be self-promoting. Find a comfortable way of doing it without being obnoxious, and there is a balance. Judgment is the last and most important thing in the bag of tricks, but it affects every other tool you have. You cannot teach it. You know people around you who you say, smart, but you cannot teach judgment. You started learning from your family. Build on their teaching, it's critical. A word about people, greatest resource, truism, everyone will tell you. But they can be your greatest liability, your greatest heartbreak, and sometimes an utter catastrophe. Be open-minded, not cynical, but skeptical. Remember that great mind, the comedian Gallagher. Gallagher's theory of unemployment, he says, a good 20% of the people that you meet do not know, nor do they care about what they are doing. But there is only 5% unemployment. So 20% of everyone out there is actively screwing things up. I realize this is cantankerous, maybe a little mean-spirited view of my fellow persons, but there is an element of truth, and it is a way of thinking maybe outside the square, outside the box. Thinking outside the box is a valuable lesson. There is always more than one way to do things. People with a good bag of tricks and good judgment can find that second or third way. The brightest people always do. Examples of some of my favorite out-of-box thinkers, marketeer types, are one, Madonna. Never has anyone with such average talent achieved so much. True believer that bad publicity is better than none at all. Muhammad Ali. Never has anyone with such great talent made it known with such style. And Sonny Bono. Never has anyone with so little talent achieved so much in so many fields, from the entertainment world to mayor of Palm Springs and now to an influential member of the US Congress. Some random thoughts as I dug through my bag of tricks in behalf of all of you tonight is Colin Powell's rule when you think of confidence, of never letting them see you sweat, even if you feel like throwing up. My own way of stating the same rule is to be a duck. You're cool, you're directed, you've got a mission, you move along the water just like that. Underneath, your feet are just beaten like hell. Thank you. Be diligent. Get up earlier, quit later, demand the best of yourself. There is no shortcut or substitute for hard work. But remember to try and lighten up. Sandy Koufax and Babe Ruth are a rule I think of often. The best pitcher, Sandy Koufax, won less than 60% of his games. And the Babe only got a hit about 30% of the time. Key thing from a business standpoint, I hope serves you well for those of you that are inclined, is niches. Looking for niches. From what Dean Westerfield said about some of our investments over the years, we are truly niche players. You do not have to run with the big dogs. You can stay on the porch, and there are some nice jobs in the porch. Johnny Carson may have made $500 million, but Ed McMahon made $100 million. There's no reason to be challenged to feel that you can't find a niche in an industry that's undiscovered or not thought of highly and go in and make a difference. Trade shows. Instead of taking a flashy trash vacation somewhere, there's some wonderful cities that have some terrific trade shows, a couple days in Vegas, and then partying and playing golf. You can learn and get close to industries where they appreciate, where there's such a void and a shortage of talent. And again, you aren't competing with the big dogs. The fact that I've been called booth babe for hanging around some of these trade shows as I laugh and spend 2 hours in a booth with the lead competitor, them knowing no way that I am financing their most lethal competitor after he runs at the mouth for 2.5 hours, was more I got in due diligence ever in that industry. I think that trade shows are interesting ways to go and find for those of you who aren't quite sure what all you want to do. Trust your gut, your initial instincts. If you have good intuition, it's a gift. You have been given an inner voice. Listen to it. Broker versus a principal. People will come at you. Know the difference between a broker versus a principal, a fish for eating versus a fish for selling. Why is this offer you're making good enough for me, but not for you. Change, you listen to and you consistently manage it. You welcome it, an opportunity. Dr. O'Malley mentioned that though it causes ripples in the world, it's an opportunity for you to slide in the middle and take advantage. Technology will continue to replace and to compound the rate of change. When you look at the fact that 75% of the people in this world have never received a phone call, think on that one issue only, the amount of change and dynamics and communication and connectivity that are coming. Understand this dynamic. Replacing the P's, people and paper, will continue to be the dynamic that drives many of the cost-benefit justifying industries. Stay ahead of this productivity curve, and you will not fail. My last comment is, if I may, talking, if I can, to say a quick word. It's a matter of conscience for me and passion to say something to those of us who many would like to think of as socially challenged. Women and ethnic minorities are good business. Hear me now and believe me later. Smart business leaders know that we are good business. You just have to look at the face of the consumer today to know that having women and minorities on the business side of these markets is smart. Not tokenism, not affirmative action, but real dollars, real business. The free market is very good for us. Nowhere has higher education made a bigger difference than for women. There were less than 6 women in my MBA program, and now 12, 15 times are coming out of the business schools each year. The numbers are compounding. Progress is being made. I'm not the most patient person in the world, but reason tells me that if it takes a man 15 or 20 years to reach the boardroom or the corner office, that if we look at the model of Mr. Gentleman's Quarterly in the corner office, ensconced in corporate America, just settling in with, hi, I'm 45, I've made it, success model, and along comes a 24-year-old named Mark Andreessen of Netscape fame. Is there sexism and racism? Absolutely. You must deal with it. You must keep your eye on the prize. You must get the job done. 2/3 of the new entrants into this workforce between now and the year 2000 will be women. The business arena is where gladiators go to win. It is not a social experiment. It is a battle for the goodies of life. And women and minorities, armed with the skills, are grabbing for that pie too. They are competing and they are winning. Toughen up, learn to wield power well, a velvet hammer, a nurturer, but also a lethal predator. You don't have to look far to see that the gap is narrowing. Last week at the Hamburg and Quist Technology Conference in San Francisco, women in technology, both on the venture side and on the company side, were very well represented. Chairmen, CEOs, and founders, White Tree Communication, Maureen Lawrence, Priscilla Liu of Interwave, raising another $45 million with a who's who on her board of directors, Marianne Burns of Corsair, Tania Armachev, a public company, QRSI, Debbie Coleman, public company, Chairman Merrick's, Nina Saberi of Netlink, it goes on, and Kleiner Perkins, Integral Capital, Norwest, Excel, ATT Ventures are writing checks. It is good business. And Linda Walkner, a personal friend who runs Warnaco, New York Stock Exchange Company, if you can find a tougher, smarter business person, I'd like to see him and her, or her. No affirmative action here. Many of us said that the 90s would be the decade of women, and you will not be disappointed. And men, we have heard your cries. Why must I carry this burden in the world alone? We are better partners with you when we are fulfilled and meet our highest calling. In closing, I say to you, go forth into this crazy world with the tools in your bag of tricks. As a member of the USC family, you, despite what they say, can and will come home time and time again. You are Trojans. Fight on. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Tania Modic is an example of our graduates who are successful and who continue to give back to the school. As Dean Westerfield said, she's a trusted and valued counselor to the school, and we're really appreciative tonight of her willingness to share, in her own quiet way, her advice for our graduating class.